Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome everyone to an absolutely spantabulous, that's what I'm calling it. It's a spectacular, fantabulous, that's the word, spantabulous episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, I am honored and delighted to bring back the top employee retention expert, dynamic keynote speaker, professional drummer, and best-selling author. His current film project, Finding Hill, available on YouTube, we'll send the links in the show notes, is about his own personal quest of achieving a bucket list item of flying and owning his own helicopter. Sounds simple, but I want to make something clear, folks. It's one of the coolest, captivating, and elevating stories you will ever see. I'm psyched to bring back on Thrive Loud my very good friend, Clint Pulver. Clint, my friend, welcome back to Thrive Loud.
Thanks, Lou. It's always good to see you, my friend. This is awesome.
So listeners need to know, I've been seeing a lot of Clint. I got busy stuff going on, and I said I have to get to watching this new thing that he's put out in the universe, and because nobody does a better job of the promotion component in a video than Clint. When he was promoting any of his speaking gigs, you could see his incredible drumming skills. When he was putting together his book, I Love It Here, he did an amazing job of featuring all the behind the scenes of what he was doing as an undercover millennial, finding all the great places of what great managers need to do. So without a surprise, when there was a special announcement that came out, I was blown away. Let's do a little rewind. Maybe share with the listeners why this whole thing came to be, Clint, because I think that alone in of itself is pretty freaking fascinating.
Yeah, so for me, before drumming, before speaking, before any of that, my love has always been helicopters. I don't know, man, there's just something about it, from the sound, the magic carpet ride of helicopter flight. It gives something that no other realm in the world of aviation delivers. And I wanted to do that. And I pursued that right out of high school. I became a private pilot flying fixed wing aircraft. So that's airplanes. And then I had an eye disease that totally came out of nowhere and ended that whole career of being a professional pilot. And so everything got derailed, but my love of aviation and my love of helicopters has always remained. And if you've ever been in a helicopter, you get what I'm talking about. If you haven't, put it on the list. I mean, because there's no other experience like it. It's unbelievable.
On one of my anniversaries with my wife, I did one of those take a helicopter ride around New York City kind of a thing. And I had been in a helicopter before, but I'd never been one in that capacity that was as that tight and small and flying around and getting a feel for it. You're right. It's the magic carpet ride analogy is perfect because, it's the whole, you're landing on a dime, you're popping up, getting that view that you can't normally ever get and in a smaller radius of flight. It's the true bird's eye, I guess, in that regard, and it's so cool. I mean, it does just go up and down. And you've loved it since you were a kid. I was going to ask this question because obviously you've on this program shared the story of your teacher identifying your skills as a drummer at an early age. So this is before all of this. So you got drumsticks and you've got spinning objects flying in your head. I want to know, really, is there one that outleans the other? Because if anyone's ever seen Clint play the drums, there's a passion and an energy that's incredible. Until I got a chance to see some of these clips of you inside of a helicopter. Let's talk about the balance of the loves of your life that isn't your amazing family and your wife and kids. So share that passion inside of you, because I've never seen such joy for so many things.
What's really cool is you talk about drumming and then you talk about helicopters, and I still to this day, one of the greatest days of my life was the day I went on my very first helicopter ride as a kid. And then later that day, that was the same day I got my very first drum set.
Mhm.
So there's been a lot of similarities between my loves and interests in those two industries. Um, the drumming, I think, blossomed because it could. And, going on tour and playing with various musicians and then playing in college and, coaching for the Utah Jazz drum line and touring and recording, all of that. I could grow within that. My relationship with aviation was always a love-hate relationship. Like, I struggled even going to air shows,
Mhm.
because after the air show was over, I would like go into a depression, like, because I loved it, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't be a part of it because in aviation, the medical certifications to fly are top of the top. It's very stringent. It's very technical, and you need to be a very healthy individual with a pretty clean health record to be able to fly professionally. And I just, at the time, for me, that was just never a part of the story because of my eye disease. And I think maybe we could dive into that a little bit
Yeah,
because,
I
yeah,
would like I would like to share with the listeners what the eye disease is. First of all, we love educating people on what everybody has, and there could be a listener that may have this and might know about the procedures that
yeah,
you've gone through. Talk about that and really at the timeline too as to when it started to get really really bad.
yep. And so I graduated from high school. I was a private pilot, fixed wing. On my way to do this, I went and did a 2-year study abroad mission for my church. I came home at this point in the story. I'm now 21. I went to go renew my driver's license, and I pulled into the DMV, and I couldn't pass the vision test for the driving test. I couldn't see the letters to be able to give the lady the proper sentence. And she looked at me and she's like, "What do you mean you can't see it?" And I said, I all I see are just 6 clear black dots." And she's like, well, push again, keep trying. And I tried and I tried, and the same thing happened. And she eventually came around the counter. She thought the machine was broken, and she put her head in the box and she reads out loud CKGELFWZYN. And she looks at me and she's like, "Are you blind?" And I was like, "Listen, lady, like, I drove here today." And she's like, "Well, you're not driving back.
Mm.
If you can't see the letters, you're not driving back." And she took a big stamp and she pushed it on my paperwork, and it denied my driving privileges. So I'm now under house arrest at the DMV. Long story short, I had to call my mom, and we ended up at the Moran Eye Center with one of the top leading authorities in a rare and degenerative eye disease known as keratoconus. And as a young 21-year-old kid, my eyes were as bad as an 87-year-old's.
Mm.
And keratoconus is a rare degenerative disease where your cornea basically dies, and it degenerates and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner until eventually you go blind. And the doctor, I'll never forget, he told me, he said, "You've got until age 31, 32 until you lose your sight."
Crazy.
And dude, like, I talk about it in my book. I talk about it in the workplace. I talk about it on stages, like the power of a moment, right? We don't remember days in our lives. We remember moments. And that was a moment when everything changed for me. And I went from being a young kid with purpose and passion and direction to literally in a moment having no clue what I was going to do with the rest of my life. Like, like being a professional speaker, being a drummer, like all of that, that was never in, like, that was not the path helicopters was. And now all of a sudden that got derailed. And so that love-hate relationship with aviation has been a part of my life for over 18 years
Mm.
until just recently, which
So, so,
is,
so let's talk about the that distance. So from the time that you were told you might lose your vision and be completely blind by the time you're 31, this is 10 years before that could be.
yeah.
How long was it until all of a sudden you came across some of the research that there was procedures and things that could be done to be able to correct your vision to almost 2020?
So at the time of my diagnosis, the only thing they could do to save my eyesight was a corneal transplant. The failure rate on a corneal transplant was extremely high, meaning that most of the transplants didn't last very long, and there was just not there was many complications that would take place after a corneal transplant for most patients. So we kept waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and my eyes got worse and worse and worse and worse. I ended up going to college. I went into the medical field. I pursued a entirely different career. And then one day, my eye doctor, my normal optometrist gave me a call and he said, Clint, you're not going to believe this. They just announced that they're going to start human trials for a new, not FDA approved, completely experimental procedure called cross-linking for people with your eye condition. And I remember I started crying on the phone. I was like, I mean, because this is like, I've been waiting for something like this. And he said, you have to call. We called the number. I was one of the very first human trials for cross-linking. And they did the procedure on my right eye. And then they flew me out again. And I did the procedure on my left eye 6 months later. And it completely stopped the progression of my disease.
Oh.
And so it stopped me from going blind, which was a huge miracle. But the damage had already been done. I was still barely at this point legal enough to drive. So the thought of like being able to fly was completely just out of reach, and always would be, until, God, it's been a year and a half ago. I went in for a routine eye exam with a doctor at the Excel Eye Center, which is a very prominent eye treatment facility. And he was looking at my papers. New doctor, specializes in people with my eye disease. And he puts the papers down. He looks at me and he goes, why are you not in scleral lenses? And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, so you were a pilot once? And I said, yeah. And I said, I just can't do that anymore. And he goes, okay, we got to talk. And he starts outlining this new procedure, this new technology, this new lens, and how it shapes your eye, and it's got a layer of fluid in it, and then it's a larger surface area. Because keratoconus patients, if I need to see something, I'll just squint. I would squint my eyes, and I'd get super close to the screen, and that would bring things into focus. And these lenses naturally do that already for your eyes.
Wow.
And he looks at me and he goes, I bet with what I'm seeing in your charts and your medical history and what I'm seeing on your scans, I bet I could get you to 20/20 with scleral lenses.
That must have been the next happiest day.
Well, to be honest, Lou, though, I didn't believe him.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been told this many, many times. I've tried other lenses. I've tried every lens. I've tried every prescription. I've looked into every procedure you could do, and it's never worked. And he begged me to try it. I said, fine. I said, I've got nothing to lose. And it's a long, arduous process. It was like 3, almost 4 months of fit after fit, trial after trial, shaping, reshaping. And the second moment, like the real day, was the moment when I'll never forget this, Lou. I'm sitting there with the whole thing on my head, looking through, and he goes, okay, he's adjusting everything, and read the line. CKGELFWZ. Okay, read the next line. ADCNFG. And he freezes, I freeze, and I go, what line is that? What line is that? He said, Clint, he goes, you just hit the 20/20 line. And I just tears, because, man, 18 years of this dream not being a reality, and then all of the sudden I'm seeing 20/20, and then instantly the first thought is like, I can fly. I can fly. And I literally 2 weeks after that, I went and I met with an FAA flight examiner, had major PTSD meeting with that guy, but I went through the whole arduous medical process. And for the first time ever in over 18 years, I was able to once again obtain my first class medical certificate, allowing me to become a professional pilot.
It's awesome. And I can only imagine on a much minor scale. I remember the day that I did LASIK surgery, I had to wear corrective lenses, and then I was actually able to see. But this is a much different story, not only into being able to see well. Listeners, by the way, do not memorize the eye chart just because he has. He obviously knows the letters from top to bottom, Clint. Don't do it as a way to get around your chart. He really saw these letters. But what I will say, just to be able to not only be able to see, but to then see that you can get to your dream is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Here's the question I had for you. How soon thereafter, now you've got the lenses in flow, you know that you can fly, you're going to the certification and all of that. Now there's another list. I got a chance, and listeners, you get a chance to see this too. Go check out, we're going to talk about the movie in a minute, the series in a minute. And and you had this absolute awesome bucket list. How quickly were you back to the bucket list of now saying, all right, hey, I've been a professional speaker. I'm doing all this stuff. I've got my family. I can now get my eyes. I want to buy that helicopter.
Yeah. There was in 2020 an announcement that hit Facebook like wildfire in the aviation industry. And it was this announcement about a helicopter that had been in complete stealth mode for over 20 years. And it was called the Hill HX50. And I remember looking at that ad and being an aviation buff and having aviation experience, being a pilot, like I saw what they were doing. I saw the design of the machine. I saw the power specs. I saw the performance. I saw the ingenuity, how they literally had taken all of the greatest hits of all of the helicopters in the world. And this guy had put it into one machine. And I was so intrigued by this. And I remember thinking, because this is before any of this happened. And I said, man, if I could ever do this, if I ever had the chance in my lifetime to fly again, the HX50 would be the helicopter I would buy. And so now fast forward to where we're at. And I just said, this is it. This is the machine. It's a turbine machine. It's safety. It's power. Because I live in Utah, where it's high up in the mountains. So you need a powerful machine. It has the ability to take 5 passengers, which the gift of the miracle of flight, the fun side of flight is being able to take people. And so you could haul a bunch of stuff, the luggage. I mean, you got to go check the machine out. If you haven't seen the machine, go to hillhelicopters.com and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I need to say this too, because my whole life it's been, this, Lou, in the speaking business, it's a grind. It is tough. And I have been working my guts out for the last 6 to 7 years in this industry. And I love what I do. And I believe that sometimes in our lives, good things fall apart so that better things can fit together. And the miracles of how things have fit together in my life, because something fell apart, that now, they always say hindsight's 20/20, no pun intended. But you look back and I go, my goodness, I see the design and the orchestration, and I believe in God, and that's a huge part of my life. And I see how God has orchestrated different pieces in my life that now has allowed me to do this in a way that I wouldn't have had that ability had the first original plan worked out. To where, financially I could afford to buy and maintain a helicopter. I could go back to flight school. I just, to even fathom this possibility in my life is a major blessing, and it has been a lot of hard work, but something that I'm so grateful for. Yeah. At times I just didn't see the orchestration and the tapestry that was being created in my life.
Yeah, it's funny. I love how you connected that, and we're recording this in early January. You've had lots of rebounds and lots of instances in your life. I know not too long ago was the anniversary of the passing of your son, and now you have a newborn that just came to this world this past year. So, like every hiccup has a blessing, and I think you have a great perspective of that at a very young age, mind you. He's still very young, by the way. I'm just the old guy here. And I think that I totally agree with you, and I totally see that connection. I want this connection. What inspired creating Finding Hill? Because this production, like some people get a chance to pursue their dreams, that's one thing. There's another aspect of somebody actually to capture and record it and put it together in this unbelievably well-produced story, help the listeners understand what was the impetus of putting together this project, which is spectacular. And listeners, you must watch this. This is really good stuff. It is so well put together. It is so professionally produced, but it's also really cool. So what inspired the production of capturing this idea?
Yeah, great question. So after I bought the helicopter, Jason Hill, who the helicopter is named after, he's the head engineer, the president, he's the creator, the Elon Musk behind this, if you will. And I bought the helicopter. I found Jason Hill on LinkedIn, and I just, out of pure generosity, sent him a message telling him thank you. Thank you for what he's done in the designing of this machine, the engineering, the creativity, how he's changing the game on the price point and the ability to maintain a helicopter. Because anything in aviation is expensive, but anything in helicopters is really expensive. And what he's doing and how he's doing it is really transforming the game in a way that allows people to afford to operate a civilian helicopter. So I wrote him just telling him thank you, and I shared a little bit of my journey. I shared a little bit of my story, and he actually wrote back. And he said, Clint, this is absolutely amazing. And he invited me to fly out to England to meet him and to tour the facility where the helicopter's being built. And that was where the beginning of this story took place. They realized the power of my story. They saw my heart and my passion for aviation. And we kind of collaborated. They saw what I had done with my video work through my speaking career and the ability to tell good stories. And I just thought, my goodness, why can't, this is an intrinsic passion for me. But I think we've talked about this, Lou. I believe in the three P's in life: passion, purpose, and the ability to provide. If you can live a life that allows you to do those three things most of the time, you are living, not just existing. And I thought, okay, this is something I'm really passionate about, but could we add a sense of purpose where it might inspire somebody to do the same? To live, not just exist, to dream more while you're awake, to maybe make a bucket list, to take the risks and the chances in life and have the ability to say, you know what, I might fail, but I'm doing what I love. And life is short. Tomorrow is never promised, and all I have is today. And so I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to jump into the unknown, and I'm going to truly live. And the thought of inspiring other people to do that while pursuing the things that I innately love, I just, that's what I live for. I mean, yeah, it's not about being the best in the world. It's about being the best for the world. So Finding Hill was a beautiful segue that hopefully allowed me to do that at the same time. And two, I need to say this, Lou, the goal with the helicopter is to do good in this world. Like, this is not just for kicks and giggles and to take my friends flying and to just intrinsically like fill my cup. This is, I want to start a youth foundation called Dream Machines, where we give kids their first flight lessons in aviation with disabilities. We give scholarship opportunities. We're going to donate the helicopter to search and rescue missions. The goal is to do good in the world with this, and then now to give back. Give back. I have had this opportunity to take this ride, but how do we invite as many people as possible to take the ride with me?
Oh, I love it. Always mission driven, Clint Pulver. He's always thinking about the bigger picture with that. I love that. One of the things that you will get a chance to when you watch Finding Hill, folks, that is, you have to see. He used the analogy like a kid on Christmas morning or a kid in a candy store, whichever analogy you want to use. You have to see the look on Clint's face when he is flying with Mr. Hill in the helicopter. It's just spectacular. He's like literally like, it's the same look he must have had the first time you went to that air show with your family way back when. It's incredible to watch. That, out of all the inspiring things, knowing you as I know you, I was like, okay, that's just freaking amazing. So I mean, you must be proud of just that moment, like in capturing that. No second take needed on any of that. That was just get it all.
Yeah, totally a special moment that I will never forget, ever.
All right. So first of all, let's do the admin part of the show, and then we're going to go to a little fun part here to make sure that we promote this as well. Let everybody know where they can learn all about Finding Hill, everything else that you got going on, so people understand what the timing of this very unique series that you've created is. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So go check out Finding Hill on YouTube. We've got episode 1 and episode 2 that are out. Episode 4 is now just complete. We have 2 more things that we're finishing for episode 3, and that will be releasing very soon. The goal is that there's the potential of this being season 1, season 2, and season 3. And it is literally the showcasing of my journey from beginning to end and the good that we're going to do with this helicopter. And I think really I need to say this. It is not a series just about helicopters. It is so much bigger than that. It is about living. It is about doing the things that make life precious and exciting and thrilling and purposeful. And so, yeah, check that out. You can go check out the helicopter at hillhelicopters.com. And then just my site is clintpulver.com as well for anything related to speaking and drumming and my book and all the crazy things.
I actually want to say that I found it rather interesting that for Clint, flying the helicopter probably is not nearly as challenging as it would be driving on the right side of the left side of the road. They're on the left side of the road over there, right?
I struggled. Every time I go over there. I've been over there twice now, and I struggled every time. Yeah.
It's that natural when you get to an intersection to look right first versus looking left. All you who drive on the other side of the road, I'm not going to say the right or the wrong side. Yeah, we don't understand it over here for us on the right side of the road kind of people. So just we don't get it, you know.
Yeah. Kudos to you. Yeah. And they look at us and they're like, "You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong."
I always feel like a mailman, you know, because in the U.S. the mailman is on that side. I don't know how they get into the other car. They're the only ones that they should be allowed to. Is a helicopter now? It's a good question. I noticed in the cockpit the helicopter was on the right side of the thing. Is that switch or is that a one time thing? I don't know that much about it.
Yeah, so it depends on what helicopter you're flying. So there's American-made helicopters, and then
Oh.
there's European-made helicopters, and the pilot will sit on different sides. Usually, the pilot will sit on the right side, but the actual rotation of the blades changes from an American-made helicopter versus a European helicopter.
Oh wow.
So counterclockwise versus clockwise. So then that changes the torque in your pedals.
Mm.
Flying a helicopter is literally like juggling while riding a unicycle on top of a basketball. It is so challenging. And I don't think many people know that. But episode 3 is going to talk about that a lot. We really demonstrate how difficult it is to fly a helicopter. So
it's very cool stuff. You got to see the family. You got to go check out the factory, which was even more cool. And the more you get to see it, every episode will only get better. When I saw the launch of this program, listeners, the power of trying to connect people and get the word out. That's something we do in this program a lot. Obviously, you can tell from everything Clint has said. If you haven't heard his original episode, we'll make sure we find a link to it. This is who he is every single day. This is the guy. He's always got this energy and this passion. He literally is shooting for the stars, hence the reason he's wearing the NASA shirt, let alone the fact that he spoke to them earlier this year. But what I will say, and I want to ask this question because we're going to have a little fun speakeasy speed round here for you to make it a little bit more relevant. I'm going to make it all about the flying piece, and I want to see how you do with this. Quick run of questions for you. First, I'm going to start out with, when you finally get your helicopter, where are you going to house it?
So we are actually building a home where we will hangar the helicopter at the house.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, as someone else who travels and has to speak for a living, at least for local type of events, will you literally go from helicopter to venue?
100%.
You know, I just want to see, if you go to an event and there's other people that have had to go through travel through that, will you be honest? And, you know, when people say, "Oh my God, it was so hard to get to this event," and you see another speaker, this or that, and then you're going to be like, "Well, how did you get here, Clint?" And you're going, "Well, I actually landed on the roof." I don't know if he's going to be as forthcoming. I'm pretty sure you won't be.
Yeah, I'll just say the Uber ride was really fun to get here.
It had its ups and downs.
Yeah.
Out of all of the different projects you've done in the last 3 years, and I'm just going to list them for you here. You've had the book. You've had the whole, actually there's 4. We'll go with the whole Undercover Millennial Expedition. You've had the book, which everyone should get to. I love it here. You've had the masterclass, and now you have Finding Hill. They're all unique onto themselves. Is there one of the 4 that you enjoyed doing more, or was there equal enjoyment across each one of those unique projects?
Well, the Undercover Millennial program, I would never do again. That was so much work. I will also never write a book again, and I'll never produce another masterclass again.
We answered it by process of elimination. There we go.
Yes. So Finding Hill for sure has been the most enjoyable, I think. A lot of work still, but here's the thing. I look back on the Undercover Millennial. It was crucial. It was foundational in the success that we've achieved in our business. Same thing goes with the book. I'll never do it again, but I'm really glad that I did it.
Right.
And then the same thing with the masterclass, another great piece of our business. And I think it's that balance of, you know, sometimes doing things that you don't always love, but in hindsight, again, or even in foresight, it's crucial to the success and the significance of moving forward.
I'm going to give a little teaser alert a spoiler alert for the listeners here. I want to ask this question. You had the opportunity to give the founder of Hill Helicopters a very personalized gift. Can you share here what that gift was and a little more detail on it? Because I kind of heard you speak about what it was, but you'll be able to do a better job here because I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So being a professional drummer for now 25 years, Yamaha drums are the drums that I play on. I'm endorsed by Yamaha drums and Vic Firth and the cymbal companies, like just the companies that I love, and the reasons behind why I love them and how that's specific to my sound. It's specific to my playing style. And Jason Hill is an engineer. And I believe the greatest engineered drum in this world is the Yamaha hybrid maple custom snare drum. And so he created the world's greatest and most significantly engineered helicopter. And I thought it would be fitting as, a drummer. And he is also a drummer. That was a fun connection that we made. So from drummer to give him a gift in the language that we both spoke, showing that same kind of reciprocity. Is that the right word?
Reciprocity, but it's okay. The way you said it sounds much better. I think that works.
Reciprocity, geez. Just to show that same type of gratitude for what he had done for me. So that was a really special moment.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch, and I saw you walking in with it. I go, ooh, someone's getting a nice snare drum.
Yeah.
And I guess the last speed round question I have here is obviously if you're flying to the event, is there enough room in that helicopter to put your set of drums in there?
There actually would be.
Yeah,
that's the surprising thing. There actually would be. I don't know if I would do that, but I could. You totally could. There is totally enough room. You could put tents. You could put, stoves in there. We're going to do heli-camping. I mean, the luggage space in that helicopter. You can take out all three of the back seats. So you have that storage space as well. Yeah, for sure. You could fit a drum set, maybe even two in that helicopter.
We're going to give the safety disclaimer on this show. Obviously, Clint's been flying for years. He's a licensed professional. Not everyone should just go out and get a helicopter. I'm pretty sure you need a license to be able to do so anyway. But I'm so glad your dream came true. I didn't know this. I knew your vision piece, but I didn't understand the extent of it. And to hear the story, see the story, I think what makes this Finding Hill thing special is, one, you're just a spectacular human on this planet anyway. That's why you're here on Thrive Loud. But it is a wonderful way to talk about the challenges and overcoming them and seeing them through and trying, as you've heard here on this program, doing more than just getting the helicopter, being able to give from that. And kudos to you, man. And congrats on this project. I can't wait to see the next episode. I'm hooked. You got me in. And they're perfect length, people. They're like not too long. You don't have to worry about it. A couple of ads here or there thrown in from YouTube, depending on the service you have. It's really good. Really excellent stuff. So congratulations on this project, my friend.
Thank you, Lou. It means a lot. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you again for coming on the program. I'm going to hopefully see you soon and not talk about how you got there. But more importantly, thank you again for being a great guest here on Thrive Loud.
Let's go fly. Let's go fly.
To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.